Hello and welcome to another episode of May the Code Be With Us with KSP RP1. So we're 1 year ahead from last episode in game because I had some issues. This is my second attempt at recording this. So first issue was kind of my fault. I attempted to launch this rocket twice. First time with a slight tilt, then pointing completely straight up, and it just flipped over and crashed. First time I thought I just had tilted it a little bit too much and it wasn't powerful enough, but then when it crashed the second time, it turns out that I can't really zoom into the engine that well. But yeah, okay, you'll notice here are the verniers, and they're like they are connected to the main engine, but they seem to be kind of floating like this over here. And the actual RD108 has a shroud covering it, so I just decided to use the displacement tool and tuck it inside. And apparently that introduced a slight deviation from center, so it was creating the center of direction of thrust was not aiming at the center of mass, and it flipped the rocket. Then the third attempt, I had an actual bug, not with my script, but between the interaction with KRPC and KSP, and it shut off my engine. And in between that, I've had 2 crashes, so I've actually lowered the graphics even more, and you may notice it in the nav also. I apologize for that. But yeah, it's been frustrating. This is the 4th time I've built this rocket. It takes 3 months to build each one. No, 4 months to build each one. So, well, yeah, that's 1 year from the past 3 launches that did not get us anywhere. So let's see how this goes, shall we? Is this the right script? Yes. Off we go. And actually I want to monitor this because we are 1 science point away from another upgrade, and I really need to start building these rockets faster. I've bought more upgrade points for the VAB, but I barely have enough money for the RD107, and I'm not sure if I'm going to need it for the next launches, so I want to keep some money. But yeah, we're at 21.9, so I don't know if the 1 science point away that it says we are in the KCT window is taking the 0.9 into account, or maybe it's just going up to 22 will be enough, hopefully, because this doesn't give me a lot of science per launch in mass spectrometry. Anyway, so the reason I was even going to show this launch at all was because I don't think I talked about this in an earlier episode because I was using the script with Sounding Rockets, but basically what I have here, it's a completely unguided rocket. There's no real purpose aside from getting data units and actual data on the engine, but every 1,000 meters of altitude it takes a reading of the altitude and the current thrust, and once it's done, I'll show, like, it plots all the points and then creates a curve, so that way with a curve fit I get an equation, and then when planning my my ascent profile for a rocket that uses said engine, I know what will be the thrust of the engine at each point in the atmosphere. So yeah, that's basically the whole point of this, and obviously getting data units for the engine so that in a more important mission with an actual expensive scientific payload, it won't crash. So well, aside from that, I had talked about this before in the recording that I have now discarded. So we're building Rincewind 5, which is in a Giscard 2, but in a modified Giscard 2. Turns out the ComSat payload is heavier per unit than the NavSat payload, which is the one that we used in the last launch in the previous episode. So even though it's 78 ComSat payload units compared to the 100 from the NavSat units from the previous launch, it was not it did not have enough delta V to do the required orbit. But there isn't really another satellite contract that I can do in the same launch as this communication satellite contract. So instead of putting it in a much more powerful rocket, I just decided to strap on some boosters that are actually made out of the second stage of the Giscard 2, and that actually gave us enough delta V to reach the desired orbit. So that's going to be the next launch. Then after that is done, the next satellite contracts require a lot more fine control. They have eccentricity requirements and such. But fortunately for us, one thing that came out of having to rebuild this rocket so many times is that we're now oh yeah, I forgot to change this. I have to check which so we unlocked a small upper stage engine, I think the 0.5 kilonewton one. So that it has multiple ignitions, actually infinite probably. I need to check that. But anyway, that lets me to fine-tune the orbit. Unfortunately, we don't have a probe core that can handle like half a ton or a ton, but we do have the Able, I think it is, avionics package that is up to 5 tons. It's quite power hungry, but it's not very heavy, so I can put it in a small rocket, get the payload to its desired orbit, and then just decouple it to not have it suck all the power out of it. I completely forgot to check, but well, yeah, this was running. Still 21.9, bloody hell. But anyway, okay. So yeah, the script is over. So yeah, these are all the data points that it gathered. It runs up to 50,000 meters, I believe I set it off. After 50, I just take it as the vacuum thrust, and then do I get this is thrust. Okay, I need to check again, like how this worked. I already forgot my own code. But yeah, I'll come back with the next launch. Never mind. I remembered. So yeah, this is the vacuum thrust of the engine, and this is a multiplier for the atmosphere, basically a parameter to say how much the thrust is going to be reduced based on its altitude. And in my I don't have it here right now, I'll look it up. In my script for calculating the optimal ascent profile, I have the equation to plug in just this value and calculate how it affects the thrust. I don't remember how the equation went off the top of my head, definitely. Okay, so yeah, I'll come back with the next launch. Okay, so before going to the next launch, I want to talk about, well, we have a new rocket design that is already being built. So I was looking, this contract was looking quite attractive because it doesn't have any payload requirements, and it's a very good competition pay. But I think I'm going to wait for this one because right now the smallest guidance units that I have that has avionics is the, I think I called it the Agena before. It's the Able, maybe. I always get those two mixed up. The one that it's quite power hungry and it's for 5 tons. And it's actually exceedingly large for this. I could do this with a Giscard too, but I need a smaller guidance unit. So I think I'm going to wait until I unlock those. But then, so I went and built a rocket for these two. So one is 19 units of WeatherSat payload, and just low eccentricity and above 300 kilometers. Not too hard. I could probably also do this with the Giscard one, except for, again, I need a small guidance unit for this. So instead of doing it alone, I decided to merge it up with this one. There's no incompatibility between them. This one is 60 units of NavSat payload, and apogee below 1 millimeters and above 800,000. So it doesn't require as much control, but also a target inclination. And yes, I was able to make a rocket that can fulfill this too quite comfortably with lots of margin of error. So let's take a look. Okay, so this is the GLaDOS 1 rocket. So GLaDOS is the villain for the Portal series of games. It's AI that is obsessed with doing human testing, and probably my favorite AI ever. And it's going to be a parallel with the R7 line of rockets, the Russian rockets, which is my favorite line of rockets. Now I have to say I'm not going for rocket replicas here. So here, well, if you know, like the R7 is the one that has the 4 side boosters, but that is incredibly OP for the time being. So I'm just going to have the core stage, and it's not even, I think it has 5 minutes 40 seconds of runtime, the RD108 engine, and this one I have it under 3 minutes. And I also have an AJ10 as the upper stage, which is an American engine. But just for the fun of it, I'm going to use hot staging, which is why I have this weird setup for the interstage fairing. I might regret that later because it does complicate the programming a little bit, and it doesn't mean I can just coast to apogee and then fire the engines there. So I might rethink that in the future. But anyways, it's what it's going to be putting into orbit. It's this probe. So I have here the Pioneer 3 and 4 probe, I think it was. Just check. Yeah. Which has very low electricity requirements. This is going to be just for the payload. So I believe in total I can have up to 150 or maybe even 200 units of payload. This was using testing because I haven't accepted the contract yet, and it might increase the payload requirements. So right now I believe if the contract we have available is 60 for navigation and 19 for weather. But this was just to make sure that I could do it even if the contract changes. Yeah, I just tested it, and it can comfortably put this payload into 1000 by 1000 kilometer, like 1000 kilometer radius orbit apogee. And yeah, so this is the upper stage for circularizing at apogee. It's Able, yes, that's the one. And I have newly unlocked generic half a kilonewton thrusters, which have infinite ignition. So these are perfect for fine-tuning an orbit. But well, this launch will have to wait probably till next episode, because right now we still have the communications satellite contract to finish. So I'll be back with that. So that launch seemed a bit laggy. But anyway, so yes, here we are with what will hopefully be the only launch of a discarded tool with boosters. I don't know why, but I just don't like this rocket. Like this. So yeah, anyway, for this mission, we have 80 units of ComSat payload, and we need it at 4,500 kilometers apogee and 850 perigee, and more than 35 degrees in inclination. I'm launching with this southeast, and I have actually I have installed KSP 1.8.1. I saw the other day Tyler Reyes give a guide on installing Realism Overhaul in 1.8.1, so it seems to work. Not so sure about RP1, although the guide is out, it's still experimental. And obviously I'm not sure if it's going to be safe game compatible, and I'm not willing to start all over again. But I am having a lot of stability issues between when I was loading this the craft to launch. Right now I had not even a game crash, like it crashed my entire computer, and I'm not sure if it's because I have been denying all the notifications to update my Ubuntu install. But suddenly the other day my Ubuntu had a new layout, and I don't know where that came from. I don't know if I accidentally updated it, and I'm hoping not, because I had a 16.4.04, I forget, and I think the most recent one is 18 point something. I tried installing the most recent one first, and it kept like crashing my computer the same way that it crashed right now. So let's see. Oh, aha, we had a failure. Now I'm hoping that the thrust, yeah, we shouldn't have a problem with this. Please don't be balanced, don't be balanced. Okay, good. Oh my god, 2 failures. Yeah, obviously no. That's rough. Okay, I'm going to see out of curiosity what this, but yeah, this mission is a failure right now. I really don't think it can be saved. It might be possible to save it if it will start aiming towards the horizon right now, but it's like I have no control over that with the script. Also, I'm curious. So we got the 0.1 science that we were missing. So hopefully this means that I have a new upgrade point. Check after this. Yeah, so this is the main problem, that it's starting too late to aim towards the horizon. So when it fires like it should be firing the stages right now, but of course it needs to wait until it's properly aimed. Okay, so we're starting to burn 30 seconds away from apogee, which I think it's too late. But as long as we end up with a perigee above 100 kilometers, we might have a chance. Might. What is the minimum perigee? At 850. It's rough, it's rough. Okay, so we seem to be falling at quite a considerable rate now, so I don't think this is going to end up with an apogee above 100 kilometers. Now, of course, not only does it need to finish with an apogee above 100, but also with a perigee above 100, it also needs an apogee above 4500. Yeah. Right now, apogee is also coming down because of I'd probably not drag just pointing this far away from prograde vector. Another failure. Okay, yeah, that definitely sealed it. This is exactly why I didn't like this rocket. Besides it not looking very well aesthetically, it just had way too many engines. It was tempting test light way too much. And honestly, we haven't had that many failures, so at least I'm glad they're all happening in one launch, so that it's only one launch failure. But yeah, with this, no sense in watching this, so it wouldn't be a KSP failure without some explosions, so let's just assassin following this anyways. Oh, I did not set up my abort. I keep forgetting that. Okay, so next episode we'll start with this launch again because we're on a deadline. And it might be in 1.8.1, we'll see. So thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time.